Hello YouTube, this is Callum from English Shooting, and I think a very specific UK gun laws video today. I think I've covered this previously, maybe in the secure storage UK gun laws video that I did, but I want to specifically focus on getting a license when you don't intend to buy a gun, when you can't buy a gun, or when you can't store it at your own home. So basically you have to look at the differences between a shotgun and a firearms license. For me, again, it's a sort of grey area and it's open to interpretation, so this is purely my interpretation of it from what I've heard, from what I've experienced. So you have to take maybe a little bit of a pinch of salt with it, but this is what I know to the best of my knowledge. With a firearms certificate, if you're not going to be buying the gun, if you're not going to be buying guns, then there's no need for you to have it, basically. You can have a license and store the gun elsewhere. So if you have a locker at a range, if they're going to be stored at the club, if they're going to be stored like at Bisley or another sort of secure lockup, if you're going to be buying the guns and storing them elsewhere, you can do that. You don't necessarily have to have the safe in your own home or on your own property. If you live in rented accommodation, you can ask the landlord for permission. If he grants you permission and the FEO approves that area and that safe or room to be put there, then that's fine. But you don't need to necessarily store them in your home. You do need to be buying firearms with a firearms certificate. There's just not the justification for you to have the firearms certificate if you're not going to be buying the guns. And actually, they will take your firearms certificate away if you're not using it. If you ask for a load of guns and it comes up to your 5-year renewal period and you haven't bought anything or you haven't even shot or whatever, you don't need it, so they take it away. For shotguns, this is a little bit different because of course it's up to the police to provide a reason why you're not suitable to own a shotgun. So the rules are a little bit more relaxed on this. Again, you can store the shotguns somewhere else, you can store them at a club, you can even store them at a friend's house. If they've got an approved safe, you can store it there. It's a little bit tricky to set up, especially if they've got firearms, but there's other arrangements you can do. If they've got a shotgun certificate, you can go on their certificate and then you can borrow it for 72 hours and all that sort of stuff. There's loads of different things you can do. In terms of obtaining a shotgun certificate without actually wanting to go out and buying a shotgun, personally, I don't think there's anything wrong in doing that, and I think that would be perfectly reasonable to explain to an FEO, because at the end of the day there's many circumstances where you require a shotgun license but don't actually require the actual gun itself or a shotgun itself. BSG, Bisley Shooting Ground, the sporting clay ground down at Bisley, they require a shotgun license for you to even go around. Also, if you're down at a clay range and they've got gun rentals, unless you're going to go around with instructor, you need to have your own license. So I'm pretty sure you could explain and justify to an FEO and say, like, look, I'm living in rented accommodation, my landlord has said no, so I can't store it at my house, but I still would like a license because it will enable me to go down to certain ranges with my friends and use their guns, or go to ranges and use a rental gun. I remember at Spitfire shooting ground or clay ground, they have Beretta Silver Pigeons to rent for £10. If you and a friend were to go down there and rent one between you, that's a £5 each, 50 quid's worth of clays and ammunition. It doesn't really add much onto the day, and you don't have to go out and spend £1,500 on a shotgun. It actually works out a lot easier for people. So that's, for me, the main differences. With a firearms license, if you're going to go out and ask for one with no intention of buying one, or buying a gun or firearm, you're just going to get told no, because normally the way and structure that a club works with a firearm is that you're going to have access to club guns anyway. You're going to be supervised, so there's not that need for you to have your own specific firearms license. With a shotgun license, I think there is more that justification, and also you don't need to provide that much sort of justification for wanting a shotgun. You can literally just say, I want to do a bit of clay shooting, and that's justification enough. as long as you're suitable, they cannot deny you the certificate. With the firearms, you need to give them really good justification for why you want that gun. So I hope that's perhaps cleared things up for people. If you live in private accommodation, if you're living at university, if you're living wherever and you think that, oh, I can't get a safe here, that shouldn't stop you from at least applying for your shotgun license. And also, there's always a different avenue you can go down to. As I've said, you can get secure storage at the club, you can get friends to store shotguns, you can do all of that. It's not absolutely dead cert no, but if you're living in rented accommodation and you can get permission from your landlord, there's no reason you can't keep guns there. So thank you very much for watching this video. I hope you found it useful, and as always, I hope to see you soon.